Hello there. Today I'm going to give you a 3D modeling introduction. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a few three-dimensional drawings. For instance, they're sufficient enough to teach you how to handle three-dimensional modeling. So I picked up a few exercises how to create this, for instance, how to create this, how to create this, and probably how to create this one. This one has also a last page, but so therefore what we are going to do is we're going to create a three-dimensional modeling exercise. They'll be really enough to make you ready for that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start working on it. So the first exercise is you need to create this, but before that, I'm going to go ahead and then show you how you will start 3D modeling. So far, what we have been using is just the drafting area, two-dimensional. Okay, probably most civil engineering, especially related to building and construction, mostly use a two-dimensional kind of thing. Especially working drawings are prepared as two-dimensional work. So, but for instance, architects, they mostly use 3D modeling just to show the three-dimensional look of a certain project. Okay, so how do you start? So first of all, just open AutoCAD the way you see it. Okay, or you can also open the one that template, which says 3D ISO 3D template. If you have a Windows computer, there is a small gear, right here by the corner. You see this little gear for me, right? So I'm using a Mac computer, but if you have something let's say a Windows, there is a little small gear over there, and then you go ahead and then click on it. As soon as you click on it, it's going to give you an option that says 3D modeling. Then you click on that, and then automatically AutoCAD will switch to 3D modeling for you. Since I have a Mac computer, my 3D modeling is right here. So if I go ahead and then click on it, then what I will see is something that says 3D modeling. Okay, so there is something that you will have to pay attention. Okay, for instance, when you are working in 3D modeling as a beginner, there is something that I usually advise to my students. Most students normally they get excited and then they want to see what they are going to create in a three-dimensional modeling, and then they start to play with this thing. Okay, this is mostly it's for viewing, it's not for project working or anything. So my personal advice is going to be, do not play with this for now. At least, it's just until you do the following 3-4 three-dimensional drawings, just don't play with this. All right. So probably you may wonder how am I going to deal with this then? So if you have a Windows computer, I'm going to tell you that there is something on the ribbon that says visualize. As soon as you click on that visualize, then AutoCAD will switch for the view that you're looking for. Okay, but for me, since I have a Mac computer, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and then switch to 3D views. Okay, so under view, there is something which says 3D views. And then if I go ahead and then click on the front view, then automatically my working space will switch to front view. If I click on something that says right hand side view, then automatically I will switch to right hand side view. Okay, so therefore I'm going to use those things for me. All right. Okay, as I told you, those are not going to help you in any way for your project. So let's go ahead and then probably try to do the first one. So the first drawing shows me this, Okay, it says draw this figure on the front UCS. UCS means user coordinate system, and switch the same drawing and then have the same drawing on the right. Okay, and then make sure that like the two touch each other, and then after that you will use a function known as extrude. It's a very popular kind of command in 3D modeling. What it does is just like it extrudes like the object that you have. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and then going to start drawing my stuff. Okay, so first I'm going to switch to the front view. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and then do my work. Okay, so you see over here this little thing next to the one that says 2D wireframing. It just shows me that like I have. Okay, so mostly like in a three-dimensional modeling, I prefer to use polyline instead of line. So I'm going to use polyline because mostly polyline helps me create a region and things like that. Okay, so therefore I'm going to go ahead and then start polyline. So the first one says like draw 100 this direction. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom extend, so therefore I can see my line. Okay, so the radius of the height of the drawing is not given, then what I'm going to assume is it's 230, so therefore I'm going to offset this by 230. Okay, so I'm using architectural or inches, so by default that's what AutoCAD normally shows me, right? So again I'm going to go to zoom extent, and I have this line, but this line has like 300, so therefore I'm going to increase it to this side by another 100, so we'll make it okay. And to the left, I like to use grips, I cover grips a lot, so you can watch like the previous videos for that. Then I'm going to go ahead and then use the arc function. So when you click on the arc function, then there are several ways to create an arc, right? So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use start, end, and then radius. Okay, so I'm going to go with start, end, and radius. I'm going to start from here. My end point is here, and then my radius is 230. I'm going to use the same function. Start, end, radius. Here's my starting point. Here is my ending point. And then I'm going to specify my radius. That's it. Okay. So this is my front view. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and then switch to right view. When I switch to right view, what I'm going to learn is like I'm going to see my drawing, this guy, as a line, right? See, that's it. That becomes just a line. Then I'm going to go ahead and then start my drawing. Most likely I will try to draw the bottom one first, so that I will know which direction it's going to go. So again, I'm going to use the polyline function. Okay, so no, it started from the midpoint of it. I can move it later, but yeah. Then in this direction I will go 300. Okay, then I'm going to offset by 230. That's what I used the previous drawing. There I have. Okay, but this line has to be shrunk to, let's say, this direction 200, and I need to shrink it again, and it has to stay 100. Okay, so let's check our sanity just by using the dist function and make sure that this is precisely 100. Okay, then again I'm going to use the start end arc, start end the dot again, all right. So once you have those things, like the next item is going to be to extrude it, right? So, but first of all, you should be able to see it, like, you know, to do the extrusion, right? So therefore, you know, you go to your view and then, you know, use some kind of isometry, like a southeast isometry or something like that. Okay. So as you can see here, like, you know, the images are perfectly chosen. Yeah, something that I did not mention is like, probably let's create a solid object so that like we can do the intersection function very easily. For that, there is a function called region. Okay, region means this is where like the polyline is very handy. Like why do we have, like, we already have the line function, and then why really do we need a polyline function? The polyline function becomes handy because, like, for instance, you can create something, especially whenever you are trying to create a three-dimensional object. The polyline can be converted to region. So I'm going to change this to a solid object. So therefore, I'm going to select them and then using the region function, press enter. So now this is a region. So if it is a region, that means like I changed this thing to some kind of a plate, okay, instead of just simply individual lines connected to each other. This is like more of like a plate. So I'm going to go ahead and then extrude those regions by 300. Okay, it's asking me to select an object, press enter, and I'm going to go ahead and do it by 300. The drawing says like 3, but 3 is very difficult. Use 300. Okay. Again, extrude by 300. Okay. So see, now the two objects are intersecting. Then the next function, like to trim the excess, what we do is like, you know, there is a function called intersection. Okay. So I encourage you to go through like the slides and intersection or intersect. Okay, then you select the two objects, object 1, object 2, and then press enter. There you have, that's it. Okay, so this is how you create like your first simple three-dimensional object. Okay, so you know, you can change like the type of drawing or the shade of the drawing, just like, you know, using something like that you have here, like it says 2D wireframe. Then you can change it, like for instance, to realistic. Okay, will look like this, or you can shade it with edges. Comes, or you know, something sketchy that looks like more of a hand drawing. You know, X-ray, you know, just to see what is the interior part. Okay, but you know, just like this is your first three-dimensional drawing. Okay, so this is how you do it. But it's pretty straightforward, nothing complicated. Then you know, so it's up to you, like whether to to do the others in the same drawing or not, I don't have any reservations. You can go ahead and then do them in the same drawing. Okay, so the next drawing is, it says like, you know, so if you follow, like, you will use the box function to create a box here, and then you will have a cylinder, and then you will have a cone, and then you intersect the different objects, and then of course there was also a function known as subtract. For instance, if you want to make a hole or something, then it's going to subtract it for you. Those normally in general known as like Boolean operations, like, you know, it's just probably preliminary mathematics kind of thing. So there is a Boolean operation that we usually call it Boolean, you know, in a set, right? Like in elementary mathematics, there is something like that. So, you know, union, intersect, those are a common kind of what do you call Boolean operations. So in this particular exercise, the Boolean that we will be using is like union. The union function will join two objects for you, and then of course the subtract will subtract one from the other. Okay, so then let's go ahead and then do the second one. Okay, so the second one starts, you know, it says like, you know, first switch to southeast isometry. So we are already on southeast isometry. I think my coordinate has rotated. I need to have x here, y there, and then v there. That's the proper way of our UCS. So therefore I'm going to change my UCS, okay, or UCS, press enter, and then type W for worldlet. That means the default. Okay, so now I needed it that way because I have x, y, z. That's the conventional one. If I need to a different coordinate system, then I'll go and do that like later. So I'm going to restart my box operation. Then my first coordinate, it was like 4, 3.5. Okay, so make sure that, like, you know, if you, unless we are told otherwise, like, but start with a conventional x, y, z coordinate. See, x is in this direction, y is in this direction, z is in top. Okay, then next is length. So when you do the length, make sure that, like, it's right precisely along the x-axis. Okay, then that is 3.5. Then the width, it says 0.5. And then the height, so in the downward direction, make sure that like the cursor is in the downward direction. That's something related to the dynamic function mode. Okay, but we haven't touched that one. Probably I'll guide you through like how to convert like the dynamic mode. You know, there are different one. When you set it 1, it's different. When you set it 2, it's different. But anyway, for this one, what we're going to use is like, we are going to tell AutoCAD to follow the direction of the cursor, okay, instead of entering negative or something like that. Okay, so the height is 1.5. So, and I think it's to the top direction. 1.5. Okay, otherwise we are going to change it later. Then now let's go ahead and then create a cylinder. There is a function called cylinder in AutoCAD. Then you have to enter the cylinder coordinate 5 point. It's the center, of course. So 5, 3.75, 1.5. That's where the center of the cylinder is. Okay, so that means make sure that like while you are drawing it, make sure that it's, you know, when you enter your coordinates, like make sure that it's right at the top center of the box. If it's not, then that means you're not doing the right thing. Okay, then it says diameter. You can put in the diameter, you can put in the radius, but let's follow the procedure. It says diameter, then press enter. Then the diameter is 2. Okay, then I'm going to use, as I said, the cursor as my guidance. Instead of putting the -3 value, I'll just simply move the cursor down and then type 3. That's it. Okay, then now the next one is you need to do a cone. Then there's a function called cone. Then the cone center is going to be the same as the cylinder, so it will be 5.75, right? Was it like that? Then 3.75 and 1.5. Yeah, right at the center of the cylinder and the top of the box. Okay, then the next item is the radius. The radius of the cone is 0.75. Okay, and then we want to move it down, and it has to move 3 downward direction. Okay, there I have the cone. So now I have to go and then do the Boolean operation. The Boolean operation, the first thing what we need to do is union the box and the cylinder. Okay, you have box, you have the cylinder, and once you select them, press enter. Then now those two are one object. You see, they are combined. See, you don't have individual cylinder and box anymore. Now the next one is like the subtract. Then you subtract the A minus B kind of thing. Your A is your box cylinder combination, right? Then you press enter, and then you minus cylinder, and then you press enter. Okay, now you see, that's your A minus thing. It's complete. You see? Now this is, now you just created one single union object with a hole right at the middle of it in the shape of a cone. Okay, so you know, you may switch to some kind of, you know, hide or hidden visualization. See, that's the hidden thingy. Then, you know, if you do realistic, you will be able to see like that, that hole right there. Okay, if you do conceptual, then that will look like that. Okay, so pretty straightforward. You know, it's not really that complicated. You can, so you're learning like this is awesome. Like this is not really as difficult as you may think, creating 3-dimensional objects in AutoCAD. It's not really that complicated. I mean, it's just like it may need a little bit of dedication and a little bit of trial and error, but otherwise it should be fine. Then the following, let's go ahead and then the following. Yeah, so we're done with this. The following, it tells you like, you know, use the polyline and draw the front view, you know, the front view of this, and then it tells you to draw, you know, the side view, that's the right hand side view. Okay, you know, you don't need to follow those steps. Just simply when you see it tells you like to front, and then you front, it's once you click on the front view option, what do? You just come and then draw this. And then the following, forget what this part says. It's okay. It's just like, you know, to stay in a certain kind of visualization, but otherwise just simply switch to right and then draw this. Okay, and then after that, like, it's going to be just a matter of extruding those two and then like intersect them. Okay, so now the next thing is our intersect function. That's what we are going to do to create this 3-dimensional object. Okay. you know, it's pretty clear. So front, right hand side, then done. Okay, so as I'm going to do it, like I'm going to switch to my front view. Okay. Oh, you know, I have, yeah, I know, like they're far away from each other, and one is too big and the other one is not. So since this one is like small as this one, so therefore I'm going to go ahead and do it right here. So it says turn on your ortho. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and start drawing it. Okay, so I'm just starting the polyline function. This is going to be my starting point. Then I'm going to draw it clockwise. Okay, so in this direction it says 1.5. Okay, how do I know this? It's from, I already figured it out, like on a paper. So 1 in this direction, then says 1.13 down, (1.5). Did I go 1 point? Okay, then I have to go, I think there's something that I'm missing. 1.51. I think that's not the way it goes. I'm going to start all over again. Polyline. I think it starts from the top to 1.5. Yeah, that makes sense. And then go down 1, go in this direction 1.13, and then go up 1, and then go to this direction 1.5, and then go to 2, and in this direction you go to 4.13, then you go ahead and then close it, type C and then press enter. Then AutoCAD will close it for you. This is the front. Then now I'm going to switch to right hand side view, and then I'll try to have it as close as to this one. So right. Okay. Now I need to look for my drawing. I think it's right here. That's totally fine. If need be, I will move this. Okay. Then again, the polyline function. Once I switch to polyline, all right. So it's going to start with. I'm going to follow the same steps. From here to here, 2.25, then going down to 2, then 0.5. So make sure you move your cursor around, then 1.25, and then in this direction 1.25, and then down 1.25, and then 0.5, and then close. Okay, so I have those two drawings, and then the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and then extrude it. But before I go ahead and extrude those things, like I need to switch to a certain kind of view, right? So that I can see them in 3-dimensional. So I'm going to Southeast isometry. Yeah, that big figure is there. So I have my two of my drawings right here in front of me. You know, they're close to each. One is further away, but I'll move it once I extrude it. Okay. So now the idea is I'm going to extrude this by the width of this. That means like I'm going to extrude this guy by 4.13. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and then extrude this one by the width of the other. And that size is 2.25. Okay. You know, when you read the procedures, you will see it. I'm going to change this to the wireframing so that I can see it. Then once you do that, like bring this guy, you know how to use the already taught you how to use the grip and move a certain object, right? So I'm going to click this corner and then press the space bar on your keyboard. Then that's going to be a nice move function, right? So let me turn off the ortho just so that I can snap it. So you see, it's showing me I can snap it there. It's snapped. Now I can zoom in nicely. So I have two objects. So if I use the intersect function between those two, then I can generate one unit, right? So therefore, intersect. Okay. Then I'm going to press 1, right? Then go ahead and then like press and select the other one, two of them, and then press enter. That's it. So I just created my three-dimensional drawing using the intersect function. No, that's it. Nicely done. You can use the hidden function, or you can use the realistic or shaded. We already used the shaded. That's the wireframe. Okay, that's the realistic. Okay, so I just managed to create my three-dimensional drawing using the intersect function. Okay, so that's the thing, like, you know, it's not really as difficult as you may think. It's just a matter of spending a little bit of time here and there. Then after that, like, you should be able to create your own three-dimensional drawing. So like, you know, lecturing and at the same time explaining everything, and then I was able to create like 3 distant objects like in less than an hour, right? So the first one was this big guy. Yeah, relatively is big. I mean, we can shrink it so that we can bring it closer to the others if need be, but I'll scale it. Let me see, scale it. Scale. If I go ahead and scale it with a function of, let's say, by about, yeah, get it to 10%. Okay. You know, it's still massive, but I can bring it close to the other drawings. The other two are here. Still this guy is big. I think probably. Let me move it very close to them, and then you will see like the difference. I'm sure it's like 10 times bigger than the rest. Yeah, because it's still a massive drawing. So I'll go with another 10% scale. Then I'm going to go ahead and move it close to where my other ones are. Then zoom extent. Come on, how far can you do? Yeah. At least now you will be able to see those. So 1, 2, 3 drawings, three-dimensional drawings in less than an hour. So you will also be able to do this. It's not really that hard. I mean, so the last drawing is going to be like, it's like an exercise for you. So I want you to go ahead and then finish it. Okay. So that's pretty much it for our three-dimensional introduction.